Welcome to another edition of Phil's Morning Drive. This time we're focusing on a pre-owned car. This is a 2014 Mercedes-Benz CLS550 4Matic. And this is a couple of years old now, but it's what they call a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that type of program, and also just what kind of cars can you get that used to be really expensive and now they're just a little bit expensive. So that's why we're focusing on this car today. This is a car that I have liked for a very, very long time. It was the start of the four-door coupe kind of phase that you've seen from other companies, like with the Audi A7, also the Grand Coupe versions of the BMW 4 Series and the BMW 6 Series. And so this idea of having four doors but also having the sleek lines and the very sporty look and really a very sporty feel on the inside as well, but you have more of the practicality to kind of split that difference a little bit. That's really what this car is all about. One of the positives about getting a certified pre-owned car, or any pre-owned car really, is that you can get something that's a little more high-end, but you don't have to take the biggest hit of the depreciation. In the case of this car, for example, a new one of these could run you anywhere from about 75 up to 100, even over 100,000 if you get the AMG version. This one, you can pick this up. This is a 2014. You can pick this up for under $50,000. This particular one has about 40,000 miles on it, which is not bad. It has a November 2013 build date, so you start to think about, well, it's about 3.5, almost 4 years old at this point as we're filming this. But you're still getting a lot of the features that are starting to trickle down to less expensive cars. Things like lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring. You're also getting these dynamic multi-contour seats, which are really a hallmark of the higher-end Mercedes-Benz models. In addition to them being heated and cooled, you also have these inflatable side bolsters, and as you go around a corner, like I'm stopped here, and as I go around this corner, this side starts to inflate, or this side will start to inflate depending on which direction that you're going to help you keep in place. And that's really nice for sporty driving. The first couple of times that you drive it and you're in a parking lot or something and it starts to really inflate and it's kind of pushing you around a little bit, it's kind of a weird feeling, but you really get used to it very quickly. Right now we're out here on some country roads, and boy, then it really comes alive. You put it in sport mode for the engine and the transmission and the steering, and then there's also a sport mode for the aromatic suspension. This does have the air suspension, which is another high-end Mercedes feature. And so you put that in sport mode, we push sport here on the dash, things really start to firm up, the side bolsters really come alive. There's two levels of the dynamic response here. I have it on a 1 because the 2 was so much that it was starting to squeeze me, and I'm kind of a thin guy, so that's just something to keep in mind. It also has a massaging seat, by the way, as well, and a seemingly infinite amount of adjustments. There's so many different ways that you can move the seat in and out, fore and aft, and different things, so you can really kind of customize what feels good. But the nice thing is, even though it does have a luxurious, it has that kind of Mercedes-Benz feel, it definitely errs on the side of sportiness, which is really cool, especially when you have a four-door car. And the way the car sits with the rake of this windshield and the way the steering feels and things, it feels like you're driving a much sportier car than a four-door Mercedes. Now, speaking of sportiness, this is the CLS550, which is the smallest engine that you can get in this car, but it still produces 402 horsepower and well over 400 pound-feet of torque. It's a twin-turbo V8, and you can even up to the AMG version, and it gets into the 500 horsepower plus range, depending on whether you get the regular AMG or the AMG S version. So if you're looking on the used market, those are probably going to run you more in the $60,000 or $70,000, maybe even $80,000 or $90,000 price range, depending on miles. Quite a few of those that I found online as I was kind of searching out before we filmed this, a lot of those didn't have as many miles as the 550 version did, so that's something to watch for if you are interested in getting this. But I really, this has plenty of power, 402 horsepower, it's a V8, the power comes on very strong, especially with the twin turbochargers, and so this is a really great car. It's a nice blend of power. It's not so powerful that you scare yourself, but it's powerful enough that I think you'll really enjoy driving it. Let's talk pros and cons on this car. Well, some of the pros, definitely this engine. Definitely the warranty that you get with a certified pre-owned Mercedes vehicle, that's definitely on the pro column, because there's really a lot of things that adds. It really gives you that peace of mind. You know, a lot of these high-end cars, they have all these awesome features and all these things and all these buttons to push and stuff, but if things start to break, it can get expensive in a hurry, especially with an aromatic suspension, especially with all the functionality of these seats. And so things can get expensive to fix, especially when you have a car that costs close to that $100,000 mark whenever it was new. So buying a pre-owned one, I just feel like it's a great idea to go ahead and get one that has a warranty. And the certified warranty program also gives you the peace of mind that the folks that are factory trained Mercedes-Benz technicians, they've gone through this car, they've been all over it, and they've checked it out top to bottom and made sure that everything is up to speed. In fact, there's certain qualifications that the car has to have. In fact, some cars I've seen that I've talked to folks and said, well, is this a certified Mercedes? They said, well, it will be after we put new tires on it, because the tires that are on there now don't meet the standards for it to be a certified vehicle. This car does not feel used at all, by the way. I've been driving this around a whole bunch, and it doesn't feel pre-owned, even though it has 40,000 miles on it. Everything feels very tight, very solid. There's no rattles. The engine has a great response to it. Everything feels great about it. So as you're driving this, you're not thinking to yourself, well, I had to get a used Mercedes. No, it doesn't feel that way at all. You know, something else that makes these cars so great is the fact that you have all these high quality materials. Everything that you touch in this car feels expensive, from the door panels to the steering wheel, this beautiful wood trim that we have up here, the analog clock. It's really a nice place to spend your time. Something else about this car is how good the handling is. It sits low, it's got a nice wide track on it, it has the 4Matic, the all-wheel drive system from Mercedes-Benz, and it just handles well. On the cons list, this really doesn't get that great of gas mileage. Obviously, having a 400 plus horsepower V8 engine, you kind of know that going in. But another thing is, some folks might find the back seat to be a little cramped depending on how tall that you are. Now, as you just look at the seats, they don't seem like they have a lot of room, but as you sit in them, you kind of sit deep down in them, you kind of sink into them really well, and so that kind of helps a little bit. I'm almost 6 foot tall. I sat back there for a little bit. I didn't really feel cramped. It's not really like a road tripping car or something that you'd want to take on a super long journey, but you can sit 4 adults very easily. The fact that there's no center seat might be a con for a lot of folks. So what's the verdict? Should you buy a car like this? Well, I think if you're looking for a car that's very sporty, a car that has a lot of horsepower, but can also get that luxury feel for you with this beautiful wood trim, this beautiful Mercedes analog clock, and really a lot of features that you would get on a more affordable car, but now this car has become more affordable. But you still have that power, you have that twin-turbo V8. Man, the power in this car just surges, especially when you have it in sport mode. It really has a great response to it, and I really don't think you could want for more power than this, but if you do, there's always those AMG versions to check out. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Phil's Morning Drive. If you want to see more of our videos, if you want to check out our blog and all of our social media, you can follow us and see what else is happening with the show and some of the behind-the-scenes things as well. Just go to our website. All the links are there. It's philsmorningdrive.com. We'll see you next time.